Yeah, B's idea of fancy and cool looking is like all that hunting gear, like orcish, like traditional orcish, like battle garb.
Yeah. Oh, that one's gonna grow up to be an orc.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
So what are Faye and Bo still having a bit of a chat? Nah.
Yeah, I assume. What have we been talking about, like, just like this whole time?
What have you been
Like-
talking about?
Small talk.
Yeah, like, I guess small talk and everything, but like,
Just discussing the coleslaw.
Okay, on the topic of the coleslaw, I'll get you guys to roll a nature check.
oh god, everyone?
Well, whoever's in that conversation.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. All right.
God diddly darn!
So
Yikes!
you guys are just talking about the coleslaw. Faye, you think it's just like maybe he just doesn't like coleslaw. You know, that's all it is. Diana, you know that orcs taste coleslaw differently.
Oh.
So it's like people with like cilantro that tastes like soap. Like there's a
Oh
certain
my
percentage.
god, that is
Same deal with
so funny.
orcs. It tastes like mud. So yep, but not all orcs. Only some. Just so happens to be Bo and B.
But their mom is fine with it.
Like she's fine with her 2 children.
Yep.
I feel like Faye eventually asked, like, she's like, what is this dish called anyways? I just kind of picked it up.
Bo kind of mumbles like this is a coleslaw, like under his breath.
Faye just kind of like looks at him like puzzled, and she's like, who is Cole and why did they put him in a slaw?
He kind of looks at you like equally puzzled, and he's like, I always thought it was like cold slaw, like it's slaw, but the slaw is cold.
Like Faye just looks down at her plate like confused, like,
So does Bo. Deep introspection.
having deep conversation about coleslaw. This is how like relationships start.
Coleslaw is amazing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, for like Diana and Chloe, she literally kidnapped him and took him for ice cream, so you're not that weird. Does the prince look like he's, you know, like enjoying himself, like he's maybe
Yeah.
like forgotten a little bit about
So-
like all the bullshit?
This is something that he hasn't been able to do for a long time.
Hmm.
Like go somewhere nice and warm, be outdoors, enjoying food and company without having to worry about someone assassinating him. Oh, another thing to mention that happens. My mistake. I'm a bit flustered today. So when he went to like eat his first like forkful of food,
Mhm.
like he just like straight in just like cut a piece off, lifted it up to his mouth, and the young guard like leaps in and swats it from his hand. And it just goes skittering across the floor, and Clovis is just sort of standing there with like his hand up still, like holding the fork position. And he just like looks up at the guy, and he's just like, you can get your own plate. You can see like that guard is like frozen in fear, like the color has left his face and all that kind of stuff. And the other one kind of has their like her face in her hand, just kind of like,
Like it's fine, everyone's eating all the same food.
yeah, exactly. Like the young guy's like, I mean, let me try it. It could be poisoned. And Clovis kind of like looks around and says, "It's a public barbecue. Everyone's eating the same meat. If it was poisoned, I'm sure 4 people would be dead. Statistically, that would be the case."
So upset.
The young guy is like, he's mortified at himself because he just instinctively like no. But he just kind of sits down and is just like, oh god, like puts his face in his hands. And Lazira, are you there right now, or?
She's probably taking her seat back again next to Pip at this point.
Okay. So Pip would be like a couple seats over. So the other one, the half elven woman, she kind of like leans over toward you and whispers like, he's fairly new and he's quite nervous about his first big protect the prince job.
Lazira just starts chuckling and says, "Man, somebody needs to get that boy a drink."
Are people drinking like alcohol?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, is
there's
there
like ale and
alcohol?
all kinds of stuff going on.
Why do we say yeah? Why are
You
we
guys
drinking?
can if you want to. I mean, I'm not stopping you.
Lazira is drinking, so
Of course.
I like how like we don't even have to roll for
So-
like Lazara to drink because it's just like she drank rat poison, so she's immune to all
Like
alcohol
if there wasn't
right now.
like if there wasn't already alcohol at the party, she was gonna bring her own alcohol.
Exactly.
Like she just like brings like a big freaking wine bottle. Like she just like starts like chugging it from the bottle.
It's like the people that bring like a bottle of wine to like a nice big party and just like, oh yay, and then you're like, cool. And then you pop the wine and start drinking it like just on your own, just from the bottle, walking around the
You're like,
party.
oh,
Someone else
Everyone else is
thinks
like,
she's
"Oh,
gonna share. She just pops open
okay."
the bottle and drinks from it right away.
Exactly. She's like made it look like, hey, look, I brought wine for the party as per common custom, but no, this is mine. You have your own drinks. Just drinks from the
I
bottle,
mean-
like locking eyes.
I mean that's exactly what she was doing yesterday morning. So
Excellent.
She just stole like fancy wine from Clovis. I mean, he was okay with it, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
that's okay.
Yeah.
She let him have a sip of it.
True. Yeah, the half elven guard. She explains like he told her earlier, like Merville. He told her earlier that he kind of accepted the job because he was kind of pressured into it. Like his family was telling him, like, "Oh, this is your big break. You really need to go for it." But with the kingdom's in a somewhat questionable condition, and he's worried that his screw up could spell like the death completely of the royal family. Like, so he's pretty nervous. You can see him like, and as you look like past her, you can see him like sitting there, and he's like a meerkat, like he's on full alert, like watching anyone getting close to the prince. Like someone walks in near him, and like he just like you see the closer they get to him, you see like his hand gets closer to his sword, like
This kid
Yeah.
needs a nap.
he's pinging.
Lazira is going to personally go get him a drink, and as she sets it down in front of him, she says,
She's just
Hey,
like, he'll be
buddy.
fine.
"Hey, buddy, you need to relax."
Okay. He looks up at you and he's like, all right, and he takes a good mouthful of the drink, and then drinks again and again. And after a while, he's loosened up quite a lot. Probably can't stand, but he's loosened up.
So she's like, he'll be fine. I've seen his girlfriend punch a god.
After Lazira takes her seat again, she just says, "He'll be fine. Don't worry about him."
He's with us. It's fine. She says as she like drinks from a bottle of rum.
I'll have you know that it's fine wine. So you have Pip sitting beside you. He's having a nice time. He's kind of really drinking his drink, and like the townsfolk of the Lady Persuasion walking by, he'll just kind of like smile at them, give them a wink and stuff, and then like whoever they're with will kind of pull them away from him.
Notice him sitting there all busted up. Like,
Yeah, he's not trying to hide it. I mean,
okay. So like we have noticed, and Diana's gonna like lean over and be like, "Holy shit, dude, what happened to you?"
yeah.
Lazara starts giggling.
He kind of just says, "Oh, you know,
Did
in
you?
a pretty big fight protecting someone from danger.
No, seriously, what happened?
I was kicked in the face by a horse a couple times.
He's just like laughing.
I don't know. It kicked me in the face and then it threatened me.
Huh? What do you mean?
Faye just kind of like, oh, go ahead.
It kicked me in the face and I went down, and while I was down it just started just yelling at me.
Faye kind of like
Yelling.
chimes in. She's like, did you give it the did you look at it wrong again?
No, I did again. No, I didn't. I didn't look at it wrong. I was walking by. It walked past me, and then it kicked me in the face. It was walking by. I had no time to react. It just boof. I was walking
just
down the
kinda
street,
like-
and then horseshoe. Like there was nothing.
Faye leans over to Diana. It's like, this stuff would happen all the time back at home.
Wait. What do you mean the horse was yelling at you?
So he was like calling me names and threatening me and stuff.
I'm gonna cast
What?
Detect Thoughts.
Okay. So you cast Detect Thoughts on him, and you absolutely see that he's telling the truth. Like he was walking down the street, and like you see, like from his point of view, you see everything. You see him walking down the street. You see a horse walking beside him, just kind of wandering by. He's making his way home after going to the market. And then, like, just horseshoe, like, out of nowhere, just bang, right in the face. And there's, like, a couple of, like, blinks, and, like, he's looking up at the sky. And the horse looks down at him. And is just, like, the horse, like, leans down, like, its big horse head at him and just says, "You're lucky it was just a kick." And then it turns around and walks away.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
After
my
seeing that, Lazira immediately dismisses the spell and says, "What the hell did you do to that horse?"
He looks at you and just like tears in his eyes. He's like, "I don't know. He just said his name was Henry and that he would hurt me again. So now I'm just always looking for horses. I don't know."
Where did you run into Henry?
It was you can see from the memory. It was just like down the street from his house. Like, that,
Jesus Christ.
Lazira pats Pip on the back and says, "It's okay. I'll take care of the horse for you."
I wonder if like, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, he looks up at you and he says, I mean, I don't want revenge. I just don't want it to hurt me again. I had no time to react. I don't know, man. I don't know." And he kind of like puts his face in his hands and is just like, "Ow," and then just sits back up. Like, never mind.
Oh.
Is Bo witnessing this?
Oh, Bo's pissing himself. Bo's laughing, and B is laughing, and like they think it's a joke, and that
They
like
don't know that's her
doing?
brother.
you can. Oh, Clovis is kind of like he's having a hard time holding it together. Like he's seen some shit,
Yeah.
and he's had to like remain like regal throughout. So
Yeah.
he's got this composure that he's able to keep, but even that is like it's shaking.
How do they? How do they feel about the fact that Lazira, of all people, is taking this seriously now?
They seem to think that you're just rolling with the joke, and they're laughing along, thinking that it all is a joke, and that you can tell that they firmly believe that like he's come on to some woman and like her man has just like woof, punched him. That's what they think is going on.
Diana leans over to Clovis and she's like, "So that's Pip, that's Faith's brother. He hits on everything with a pulse."
And Clovis like leans over and sees him kind of like all bashed up, and he's like, "Does it ever work?"
No.
And he kind of gives him a wave, and Pip is just like, "Hey, man, like." And yeah, he's just like, I'm just glad that Eris gave me like the remedy to fix it, because otherwise I'd be bruised up for weeks.
So, what kind of remedy was it?
She gave me like an ice pack, but like a special one, apparently, like a magical one.
It's just like, I bet it's just like a regular ice pack. He's like, can you give me a enchanted ice pack? And she's just like, here you go.
Yeah, it's just a normal one. She just waves her fingers over. Ooh, it's
Ooh,
better.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, oh, it's as
There is
enchanted
magic
ice.
now.
Yeah, but no, she he says no, she gave me like a special ice pack, and it seems to be working. It's not just a normal one like you would normally apply in such a situation. Not that I've ever had something like this happen to me before, but you know, an ice pack, yeah, wouldn't work this fast. But this is working quite fast. It's a good special ice pack. I don't know where she got it from, but it works.
Can we roll? Like Arcana or Insight
Sure.
or whatever?
Roll Arcana.
Anyone or?
Yeah, anyone who's interested in this ice pack.
Okay. Nice.
Okay,
I'm ready
okay.
for
I'm
you
gonna
to
go ahead
tell-
and ask: is Lazara able to tell what it is from that roll, or is it?
That's gonna be a no. It's like
Okay.
it's even Gunther, like only just though, but even you're like not 100% sure. But Gunther, you think it's not quite something magical? Because something magical would have a pretty instantaneous healing effect rather than
So it's
prolonged apply over time thing. So it's
That
more of
is
like a natural thing.
yeah, so
You
it's basically
believe, but
just
the
a
only-
regular ice pack.
Yeah, but the only person who would really know 100% what it is would be Eris.
Yeah.
So she'd be the one to ask.
Lazara just kind of Lazara just takes a look at him again and says, "Well, you certainly look better than you did the other day. So whatever it is, it works."
He smiles and he says, "Yeah, I think so too. It really is working. I should ask her what it is sometime in case. I mean, not that I should need it again, but like, in case of like accidents or stuff."
Faye leans over to Bo. He's like, she'll need it again.
That
Or
sounds like
lost.
something someone would say if they need it again.
Yeah,
Lazara,
knowingly.
Lazara grins and says, "Do we need to get you a bodyguard?"
He looks over at like the prince's bodyguards, the ones that like smack the food out of his hand and all that, and he's like, I mean, I have Croc. He'll be all right. I'm sure if I got someone else, he'd feel like jealous and it'd get weird. And like, I don't want that. He does a good job. This is just a
Croc
one-off.
suddenly has like gone to that Stockholm syndrome where he's all like, "Oh, I'm now his bodyguard." He like at first it was
Yeah.
like,
I mean, he can always ask Clovis. He probably knows all about that. Bodyguards. Probably not as fun as it sounds.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Fuck. Alright, so keeps that, bows that. I suppose I'll ask Pip, so I haven't really seen you guys much lately. What have you been up to?
What, like apart from getting kicked in the face by a horse, or
Yeah.
I've been working actually. I've been doing a bit of work, catching criminals, bringing them to justice. The Sigil Shield Guild hates me.
Oh my god.
Because they keep taking all their work.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why.
So it's yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. You know, fighting crime, saving the city.
She turns like back to clothes and she's like,
Just shakes her head.
she just shakes her head.
Okay.
Lazara's just kind of sitting there sarcastically cheering him on.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh,
can feel the pity.
fuck.
Very good. You're doing a very good job. Oof.
You bet. Okay. So observing Eris, has she managed to run into Nessie by accident or nah?
Yes. So here's what happened. At one point, Eris quote unquote ran into Nessie and began talking about how wonderful her guild is and oh how wonderful her fiance and oh this wonderful party, everyone's come, they love us. And sort of like backing her away down the aisle between like the two sets of tables, the two rows. And she gets closer and closer to Gunther. At which point at which point Nessie just like is like, well, I have somewhere to be. I gotta go, and she turns around and leaves. The
Oh my
picnic.
god.
She
She's
couldn't
done with the
handle.
barbecue. She has to leave.
I thought we were a team now.
She walks faster.
If you leave me now.
Oh no. We're such assholes.
Yeah, Nessie vacates the premises. Pretty expediently.
Oh my god.
Is she avoiding me for the for like because I'm?
Roll an insight check, Gunther.
That's what I want to know. What did
You're
I
one of the
do?
people
I didn't do anything sketchy yet.
Very good.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love how you said yet.
Okay, so you've noticed a few things with your time at the guild, and here's what you figured out. Step 1, Dossier will research something and find out something new. Step 2, he comes to Nessie and shows it off like all up in her face while she's in the middle of work. Step 3, repeat a few hours a day. Like every day, every few hours, this happens over and over again. And as far as she's aware, you're now working with him. And
she
it's
thinks
gotten to a
I'm
point
good.
where she's gotten to a point where like she's done with Dossier. Like she can't handle it anymore. So she thinks that like if she speaks to you, you're gonna want to talk to her about Dossier. And she can't handle that right now.
Gunther should just like Gunther should
This
just like
is-
straight up approach her and be like, "So, you want to hear what happened today? Like the other day at the guild?"
I was just talking to Dossier Echokander, my wonderful mentor, and she just screams.
Screams, internal screams.
Yeah, she's like, well, I gotta go. And teleports.
Fuck.
The moment when at this point it seems Faye is the only one that she doesn't like have like a
Fear.
a deep fear of.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. Just give her some time. Something will happen.
Baby
When,
steps.
as that happens, and while everyone is probably like still having like their small talk, Diana leans over to Clovis and she kind of like briefly explains the whole thing that's going on between Nessie and Eris, like that
Is she
petty.
The petty rivalry
Yeah.
thing. Okay. He's just smiling.
I
the
thought she
whole
was going
time.
to tell her about the horse part.
I'm sure that's part of the.
Yes.
Yeah.
She kind of like she ends the whole story with that precisely.
The
Excellent.
voices.
Amazing.
By the way, the episode that came out yesterday on the YouTube channel was the horses.
Good.
How many horses was it again? Four?
It was all of our
It
horses.
was
Yeah.
4, I believe. Yes. It was
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
four
One
horses.
per player.
Yep.
I'm just glad that it wasn't also Simon's
Oh yeah,
God,
no.
guard
No.
Drake.
That would
I
have
think
been
we had to draw
worse.
the line there.
Yeah.
We want to upset Nessie, not kill her.
Yeah. Precisely. But yeah, that's precisely how she ends the story.
Very
Just
good.
The horses.
Yeah, Clovis is having a good laugh. He says, "Oh, it's good to hear Eris giving somebody else trouble, and not me." It's at this point, it's at exactly that moment that two graceful red tiefling hands with gloves on touch his shoulders, and you just see like a chill run down his spine. Like you see his body like physically recoil, and the color drain from his face. And she leans right in, and you're able to hear her just sort of be like, "I hope you're enjoying the barbecue, dear." And then
Like,
she just sort of
like very
slides
slowly, I heard
away.
you talking shit.
It almost
Yeah,
sounds
that's
like
exactly what it was.
it almost sounds like a threat.
Yeah. She very carefully slides away and returns toward Simon. And Clovis just sweating.
I don't think Diana's sure what Clovis is talking about, though.
Isn't she? No, I don't think she is.
No. She's like, what do you mean?
He
Well, that.
kind of like shakily looks up, and he's like, "Well, her and Nate from the guild up in Vaskia, they were working on the project to help save the city, and they kept getting distracted because they're just kind of like that with each other, it seems." And they were getting carried away and doing other stuff and misbehaving, and I would have to get them back in line and get them back to work. And if I wasn't there to check on them every so often, then they'd be off doing all kinds of other things. Not all of them very appropriate.
Can you elaborate? Just like, what?
He looks around in the public setting and he's like, "I'd really rather not.
Oh God.
Not right now. Some other time, maybe."
Oh,
Is Lysaira hearing this?
Oh yeah.
yeah. She's probably close enough.
Lysaira
Roll
just
insight.
You can, yeah.
Lysaira just leans in and says, "Come on, come on, come on."
Oh my god.
He kind of like leans over like quietly. He's just like, "Well, they would chat to each other about certain things while they're catching up about this and that, about life and stuff, things that are happening, and well, they would get onto topics that weren't very appropriate, and then those topics would snowball into ideas and theories, and then they would begin working on these ideas and theories and trying to put them into practice. And like the guild has many resources, but they were quite busy with a very important task." And that wasn't really the time for the other things.
Lysaira just slowly looks up at Eris and just like gives her a thumbs up.
Eris gives you a thumbs up right back.
What does that my 16 tell me then?
Your 16 tells you that some of these shenanigans probably involved the prince in some manner. Probably very much not entirely of his will. And things that seemingly make him rather uncomfortable. It could be conversations they will have wanted to have with him, or just topics of discussion they wanted to hear his opinion on, or maybe other more magical creations, potions and items and the like that he may have walked in on them creating and mucking around with, and maybe he wasn't 100% on board with all this going on while it was like, "Hey, can we please save my city?"
Can we stop talking about dicks?
Yes. Can we please stop discussing this magical potion that is used as an aphrodisiac? Please, can we get back to saving my people?
Oh my
I
god.
feel like it's rather important. Things like that.
Oh my god.
And this happens several times a day. And he would have to just walk in there and just like snape them and put them back into their books.
Dad's just like, oh, I'm so sorry.
He's like, that's not your fault. She's just like that, I think. And he kind of like looks up at the topic of discussion, and she's sitting way across the table, and she happens to look up at the same time. She looks over and she winks at the two of you, and he just kind of goes, and looks back down at his food.
Oh no.
He just says, she had suggestions, that's all.
Oh my god.
What do you mean?
Not something we can talk about here. There's people around. Just told me that there are things I should try, and it's not. And you can see him; he's quite red. Like, he's like, "It's not. You know what? It's not something we ever need to talk about. It's okay."
Lazara just kind of grins, and she leans in and says, "Oh no, you two should talk about it before you head back to Vaskir."
He's super red in the face.
Oh no.
And he's like, we'll see.
Meanwhile, Faye's listening in on this, and she's like, I read enough of her books to know where this is going.
Yeah, just like, hey, I've been reading this awesome book, and I know things. Too many things.
Oh,
Errors
God.
things.
Errors things.
I promise you, it will be amazing.
Oh my god.
Oh no. You should like, so there's this thing you can do with your thumb.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Actual mortified Shia LaBeouf. This is thing
Honestly
you
though,
can do
as
with
soon
your
as he
thumb.
starts talking about stuff in terms of like suggestions, I was like, oh, like, what do you mean though? She has no idea.
Yeah. He's like, well, just some things I should try. I haven't had nearly enough to drink to talk about this sort of stuff.
Oh
So
no.
maybe
Hey,
we should
let's
have
get the friends some more wine over here.
one of the half-elven guard that's alongside him salutes and then walks over toward the table where all the drinks are.
That's beautiful.
And he just sort of watches her go and then like quietly mutters like, wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't a request. I was just saying.
It's okay. You don't have to drink it.
Oh my
Liz-
god.
Lazara just gives him the biggest shit-eating grin and says, "I didn't say you were making a suggestion."
Okay. So as this is going on, is there anything anybody else wants to do or talk about with anyone?
Not really.
Oh, I do think that Faye's gonna introduce, like, like kind of call Pip over and kind of introduce, like, Pip to Bo.
Okay.
And just bring him closer to, yeah.
So you
So this is my brother. He got kicked in the face by a horse.
and then threatened.
Apparently.
The horse's name was Henry. Anyway, you introduce Pip to Bo, and Bo's just kind of like, "Hey, nice to meet you. How are you doing?" And Pip's just kind of like giving him like tough guy sort of like glare, like in the anime. That sort of like Yakuza tough guy like scare glare, the intimidation. In fact,
How bad is it? How intimidating is it? What did he roll?
Not enough. So Pip just kind of like looks up at this big beefy half-orc guy that looks like he could like rip him in two if he really tried hard enough. And like kind of gives him this sort of glare, this tough guy look. And Bo's just kind of smiling at him. And
Faye elbows him in the ribs.
and you can see him kind of like, and like the tough guy persona kind of drops for a second, and Bo kind of like pats him on the shoulder, and he's just like, "It's real nice to meet you." But as he pats him on the shoulder, you can see like the power that goes into it, and it's like Bane laying his hand on that guy's shoulder, you know?
Oh my god!
And it's just a pat, and then you see like Pip kind of freezes. And then he looks up at him and he says, "It's very nice to meet you, Bo." And Bo smiles.
And then Faye's like, "So Bo, my brother also, cooks. He bakes a little bit, but he's a pretty good cook as well.
Ooh. Bo kind of leans down and he says, "What kind of stuff do you cook?" He just sort of leans against the table, just chatting with him, small talk. They talk about recipes, how they prefer to cook things, Pip insisting that his way is better.
Oh my god!
All kinds of different like recipes and stuff they have for different things. Most of them are things that can be baked, so like breakfast foods, pancakes, that sort of thing. Like, do you leave them in for this long, and do you let them go golden brown and crispy, or do you let them stay soft? And there's that kind of argument going back and forth. It's not just preference stuff, but they're arguing that their way is better. And this goes on for some time.
Oh my god!
Like once you get them onto the topic of cooking, they're off. They're going.
Faye's just like watching this. She's just like amused.
They now have like a friendly rivalry going on.
Yeah.
And so it begins.
Master Chef, D&D.
Faye's just watching this while eating her coleslaw.
Every time like a forkful of it like enters your mouth, you see Bo like grimace.
Faye also she just kind of goes, "Oh, Pip, you should try this coleslaw that Bo's mom made," and she just shoves the fork in Pip's mouth. She's like, "It's really good." Like Pip, part of it just for him to try to eat it, but part of it to shut him up.
Pip takes a bite of it, and Bo practically like goes like this. Like, he just watches you like he's point blank. He's right here, and he just sees you like shove a mouthful of coleslaw into his mouth.
He's like, "Why would you do that?"
And he's just like, "Oh my god!"
That's amazing.
You killed your brother.
How could you do this to him?
How's Pip liking it?
I mean, Pip thinks it's great. Like, it's a nice tasting coleslaw. Like, it's got just the right amount of like balance of things. There's no one flavor overpowering the other. There's not too much sauce, and the sauce isn't too runny, but it's not too thick either. It's like just right. It's really good coleslaw.
Bo's just there, like,
oh my god, he's fucking...
like this is actual fucking foot slop. Like, I cannot believe that you're like shoveling that into someone's mouth like that. That's terrible. How could you do that to someone? Like, it actually tastes like literal mud to them. Like gutter street filth. That's what it tastes like. Like that sloppy mud.
Oh, buddy.
It's that. And so it's just, he just sees you like shovel it into your mouth and he just looks on with horror.
Amazing.
Faye just kind of like looks over. She's like, "Is everything all right?"
another point is like every time you just take a spoonful and eat it like it's normal, and like, oh, it's pretty good. You just see bees staring up at you like, whoa.
Like, wow, she's strong.
Wow, she can just eat that. Oh, elves are weird.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wow.
What the hell, elves?
That's like, you should have seen that thing that Sarah drank a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my god. That was an interesting situation.
Lazira just kind of sighs like she's reminiscing, and she says, "Never take drinks from goblins."
She like Faye like leans over to Pip. She's like, she passed out, and then like we had to like nurse her back to health. It was quite traumatic.
Bo just kind of leans over and looks at you, and he goes, "How did you get a drink from a goblin?"
Well, you walk into the bar, and when you go up to the bartender, you ask for a drink.
He leans over to like, he still has like a stone face, like, and he just like leans over to Faye, and he's like, "Is this like?" He's like right up next to her. He's like, "Is this like an elf joke? I don't get it." Like, I can feel like the setup, but I don't understand.
She just kind of shrugs, and she's like, honestly, at this point, I think my whole life is an elf jerk.
Lazira just kind of just says, "Hey, so someday I'll take you to the Goblin Bar. I promise."
He kind of like squints at you, and he's not entirely certain, like, what the hell you're talking about, but he's like, "Yeah, that sounds good. That's fun. We'll all go.
We'll make a thing of it."
Oh my god. So I feel like, you know how Bo was having like that fear look when she was eating the coleslaw, when he mentioned, like, when Lazara's like, "Hey, we'll take you out over to that goblin bar and you can try it." Like, that was like the look on her face. She's like, "Oh god."
I mean, she did.
Alcohol.
I mean, she didn't say that she'll take him to the Goblin Bar and let him try it. Just take him to the Goblin Bar.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
That is true. But I mean, like, she probably is just like, that's what she thinks. That's probably like the first thing her mind is going to, like, oh shit, she's gonna like literally like force him to like drink a bug, and then we're gonna like have a casualty on our hands. Help.
That drink sounds like a death wish.
Oh my god. Dan's like, "Oh, she'll take you.
She'll do it. I've seen
She'll
it."
do it."
Yeah, no. Like everyone at the like everyone from the party is just like, yeah, she'll do it.
Mhm.
Just like a
What do you ask
mutual,
for?
just like a mutual agreement. It's just like,
So you guys hang around for some time. This barbecue goes like all day long. People keep going up for more and more food. There was like an entire pile of meat on one side of the barbecue that was all cooked up. There's so much space on that grill. And you see Simon keeps like turning around to just admire it. He just turns around and like looks at the grill, and he just kind of nods and then goes back to eating.
He's such a dad.
Yeah.
Dan's like, "So looks like he likes it."
Yeah, he's super into that grill. He love it.
It's a good day for Simone.
It is.
What is Timbertail doing at this point?
So Timbertail he's oh my god, roll a perception check. Actually, it's at that point, isn't it? Hang on, where are we? Oh my god, this is perfect.
please tell me he has the socks and sandals and everything, please.
76.
Oh,
perfect.
fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
LAC.
Oh no.
What?
You remember my brother wearing socks and sandals?
He did.
Yuck.
He like when he was visiting for our wedding, he would wear that. I was just like, oh my god, how
He
are
did it
you
only
related? How?
once. He did it once, and I shamed him for it.
King shamed him.
As you should.
Yes, well done. He needs to learn.
If you wear
Um,
socks, put on fucking shoes.
So anyone else who's looking for Timbertail, roll a
Oh.
perception check. If you're not looking, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh no, I was just like wasn't paying attention.
Okay. So you're looking around for Timbertail. You can't see him, Diana, amongst the guests. Lazira, you also notice a severe lack of cat person at this barbecue. It's at this point that like Faye, you've had the sun kind of like gleaming off your face for a while, and you feel like a bit of a shadow cast over you, and you look up and you can see silhouetted on the rooftop is Timbertail, silhouetted by the sun behind him in the late afternoon sun. And and
Oh, no.
he's set up this makeshift like slingshot trebuchet sort of device.
What?
Faye just
What?
points up. Faye points up and she's like,
What is he trying
Once
to
she points
do?
at it, and once she points at it, you're all able to see it. Timbertail has like what appears to be like a wet cloth or something like that, and he's got it in like the catapult, like ready to go, and he's pulling it back and he's kind of aiming it like massive slingshot. He's got it set up on the roof. He's aiming it at Simon.
What?
You can see him just kind of like
What the
curling his tongue
fuck?
up, like closing one eye and just getting his aim just right.
What is happening?
What does it?
This
What
is
does
like
it look
straight up
look like from where I
Roadrunner.
am?
I feel like we're probably watching this happen in like slow motion.
Yeah, from where you guys are, you can just see the Timbertail is standing on the roof. Dogs are barking. There's this massive slingshot. Like he's made it out of God knows what. You can't quite make it out. The sun behind him, and you see him like crouched down, pulling back on it, pulling it tight, and he has like whatever it is that he's holding. It's like maybe a cloth or something. It's something wet and it's dripping. You can see that much. You keep catching the glint of the sun bouncing off of the drips as he pulls it back tight, and he's just kind of like closing one eye, squatting down, like the tongue is curling up over the top lip as he's like aiming and like perfecting it all, getting ready to fire it at Simon. That's what you guys can see.
Can I roll like
Um,
something to try and figure out what he's trying to launch at him?
Perception, I suppose.
I guess
Or
we'll
like,
see it land soon
investigation?
enough anyway.
Which one? Because they're very different.
Let's go investigation.
That's good. Yep.
Okay. Lazara, it's definitely his old apron. That is like
Oh
he's
my
just
god.
soaked it wet and he's just like aiming it, ready
Okay,
to fire.
he'll be fine.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
Um. um. Let's are Lazira and Simone on the same side of the table?
No, you would be on the opposite side where Pip is sitting, but you're like further down the table than him. You're like a whole park bench and a half away.
Okay, so this wouldn't work even if I tried it.
Okay. Is there anything anybody else would like to do, or are you?
Um,
Are we
Yeah,
close
can I-
enough to
Can I-
try anything?
I was gonna- I was gonna
You could
see
think of
if
something.
like I was gonna see if I can like maybe fire like one of my spiritual weapons at it,
Okay.
like in the air, midair.
All right. At what? The slingshot or?
Can someone like catch
probably-
it with a mage hand or something? I don't know.
I don't have anything.
Your spiritual weapon, doesn't it just like summon one? Like,
It summons one and it's force damage, so I'm not sure if it would like destroy if I hit the apron.
I'll certainly let you try. What are you going for, the
Okay.
apron or the slingshot or?
Probably the apron to make sure it doesn't hit Simone.
Oh, are you gonna try and get it out of midair, like after he fires it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll get you to make a attack roll with it, as you would with your spiritual weapon.
Amazing.
All right. Hold on.
Are we all watching like Bobby, Pib, Clovis?
After after it was pointed out, like, like it's
shit.
absolutely. So you stand up, ready to go. As Timbertail, like, it all happens in slow motion. The second he releases it and it fires forward, he springs backward off the roof, like into the street in front of the guild. A true prankster is never there to witness the crime.
Oh my
Never there
god.
to witness the result. He just knows that it succeeded. So he fires it and springs backward, like Assassin's Creed style. And then he vanishes over the silhouette of the building. This thing fires through the air, and Faye casts her spiritual weapon out, which launches through the air and strikes the apron, the wet apron, and you see like the apron, like as it's flying down, it gets hit and then flicks, like the edges of it whip forward as it gets pulled back out of the way. And the apron is then pinned to the side of the building. There's like a shunk as it hits like Diana's windowsill.
Oh, shit.
It just is sitting there dripping. You notice like a couple of drops fly forward and like spatter across like Eris and Simon's backs. And Eris kind of like jolts up.
So like, excuse me?
Faye just like quickly sits down. It's just like, that wasn't me.
You guys see Eris, like, she just like picks up her napkin, wipes her mouth off, puts a hand on Simon, and then just says, "Excuse me, dear." And then
Oh, God.
she takes a step off of the, like, back from the thing, and then you see her fly up into the air and over the guild building. And then, like, over the top of it and behind it, and then she disappears. Like, this all happens very quickly. She just, like, Superman flies, like, over the top.
Oh my god.
Sounds like someone's in for a scolding.
Yeah, Simon just, like,
I'm
watches
pretty
everyone
sure
at the
it's more
table,
than
like,
a
just...
scolding.
Watches Eris fly away.
Everyone at the table just, like, watches her go, just chewing their food, and they're like,
Yeah,
Okay.
zoom.
Just- back to eating.
It's Eris.
Um,
This is normal.
Eating their cake. She just zoom, and they're like, all right.
Fuck. Oh my god.
And you can see like the guards that were on either side of Clovis, like they sit back down and put away, like their swords were like half drawn, like because then they put them down and they're just like, do you guys like ever get like assassins or anything here? Like, is that just a thing here, or is that a no?
Lazara coughs.
I'm gonna say Lazara like shakily drinking like the ice in her glass, like tinkering.
That happened to me once. I broke his foot.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, I thought he said that I happened to be once, and I was like, what? Don't say that out
No,
loud.
no. I said it happened to me
So it's like,
once. I broke his foot.
Like proper assassins?
No.
Mm,
Not
well, that's
very
pretty
often.
good. You know that he's pretty safe here. Then you guys seem to
They
keep
fought one naked.
you guys seem to keep a pretty good watch on the place, and you know when things happen, you have people to deal with it, and they look up over at the top of the guild building where they just saw this woman fly over the top after the perpetrator.
Yeah, usually there's someone will take care of it. If it isn't Simon, if it isn't me, it'll be Eris.
They nod and smile, and they're like, "We'll be sure to inform Griselda of that. I'm sure she'll be happy to hear that." It's nice to know that the prince is somewhere safe he can be without having to be under constant guard.
Clovis
Yeah,
is like, thank you.
You can see, like, you can visibly see, like, relief from Clovis. Like, his shoulders drop, and he's like, oh, that feels nice.
Lazara says, yeah, it'd be pretty scary if there was an assassin just sitting a few feet away from the prince.
They
It's hot.
they kind of laugh, and they're like, yeah, that's kind of what we're constantly worrying about up in Vaskia. Like,
I feel like Clovis is just staring at Lazara like,
he's just like looking like eyes like into your soul. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Please stop. This is going so well. And he's having like a freak out.
oh my god.
And the guards are like, yeah, no, we worry about that all the time in Vaskia. Like, it's a very tricky situation with the royal family, and we have to keep them under watch and make sure they're all safe. And not that they can't take care of themselves, but it's tricky sometimes.
Lazara just chuckles and says, "Oh yeah, he's safe with us." And then she winks at Clovis.
He smiles, but you can tell he's like, please stop talking.
It's like
Please
really
stop immediately.
strained. It's
Like,
a,
it's just one sentence away from like this never being able to happen again. Like, please, please, I need this.
So it's just like, we're a pretty tough bunch.
It's basically like this, like stop, like talking through his teeth. Yeah, that's a better image.
Screaming. He
It was like, everything went pretty okay when we first met, so I mean...
yeah, and they're like, yeah, we heard about that. That was pretty crazy.
It was pretty fun.
I'm glad he's
For the most
safe.
part.
I'm glad that he's safe, and we have our real prince, not the fake one. And then the half-elf like guard kind of leans down, then whispers like, "You are the real prince, right?" And he's just like,
Oh my god,
"Yeah."
a little late
Like-
to be asking that now.
Yeah, he's just like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just messing with you."
The fake one was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
You'd know immediately.
Yeah. And Clovis is just like, "Hey, maybe you two would like to go and get some more cake." And they're just like, "Well, okay." And they stand up and go and get more cake. And Clovis just like breathes a sigh. Oh. That was a real touch and go situation for a bit there.
Please stop.
Please. You don't understand. I need this. Don't take this from me. Don't you put this evil on me.
Please just let me hang out with my friends.
Lazara is now just giving Clovis a look that's like, okay, now I know you know.
He looks over at you. He's like, and then he just takes a drink of whatever he's drinking there. To help clear his throat.
He's a smart boy. We can...
In fact, let's get a insight check from Lazara.
All right, just a moment.
In fact, you get the sense that he knows a lot more about you than he lets on.
Oh shit.
Like, he knows a
Uh-oh.
lot, it would seem. Like, you
Like
kind of get that
self-talk.
vibe from him now that he really knows a hell of a lot about you, your history, and like all kinds of stuff about you.
Note to self, talk to Clovis about that later.
Sarah just shudders. She's like, oh.
Oh, how much?
Oh no.
She's like, I guess I gotta kick his ass to keep him quiet.
Lazara has no shame. She's more amused by this than anything.
Mm.
Oh my god. Have we seen Ares come back?
Nope.
Have we seen
He's dead.
Timbertail show up?
No.
I think Timbertail's dead.
Surprise, this is the bad thing. No.
We walk back into
After-
the scabbard, and there's just a timber tail rug on the floor.
Not quite. So people begin cleaning up and starting to pack it up. It's starting to get quite late now. Like, you guys have been here all day. You had lunch at the barbecue, and then there was enough left over for there to be dinner
Oh
as
my
well.
god, so much food.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you had like 50 people show up, and all of them brought like a whole stack of meat, and it was like to share with everyone. So everybody got to eat, and then everybody got to eat again. That was Simon's rules. Like, if you bring meat, you share it, and I'll cook it up. That's kind of the part of the tradition. So everybody got to eat, and yeah, people are starting to pack it all up now. They're piling the plates on all together, and all the leftover meat is actually the leftover meat. You see Simon like package it all up and give it to the guy who's in charge of the Sigil Shield Guild. He gives it to him, and he sort of hoists it over his shoulder and smiles and nods, and he walks away.
Hell yeah, boy.
Insight check if you're curious about the meat. The meat. Actually, Diana, you don't need to roll insight check.
Okay.
You know where it's going. Sorry.
Oh, never mind.
Rip.
Oh, oof. Oof.
Zara has no idea.
This is like,
Diana knows that he gives this meat to the Sigil Shield Guild, and they have some of their lower level recruits distributed amongst the homeless population of the city.
Oh.
And that's kind of one of their little tasks that they do at the end of the day, sort of in the evening on this day every year.
Dana
just-
will explain this to whoever doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Diana knows all about the traditions of the birthday
The
BBQ.
birthday barbecue.
The BBBQ.
Birthday meat.
Oh, not the same thing. Not at all the same thing.
Eris winks.
Well, I mean, you notice that Eris hasn't given him a gift. That's for later.
Oh boy. I mean, you guys can't. She can't get any more pregnant, guys. She can do whatever the fuck she wants.
I mean, as far as you know.
Already.
Well, I mean, magic though. No. So
I'm gonna have-
everyone,
400 babies.
400 babies. Energy just running all the time.
Need some raw berries.
Rabries. Anyway, people are packing up. You guys offer a bit of help and like cleaning up and that sort of thing. Clovis very respectfully pays his thanks towards Simon, wishes him happy birthday again, and says that he'll be happy to come by and visit whenever he gets the chance. And Simon pats him on the shoulder and smiles, and he said, "No rush, kid." It's like, well, okay, I tried.
Diana's just kind of like
Elbows him in the
elbows
ribs.
him, like, don't be rude.
He smiles and he says, "Look, I know it's a really rough time, so I do appreciate you coming, and hopefully it's been all right for you." And Clovis kind of shakily smiles, being reminded of the reality of his situation. And they have a nice firm handshake. Simon's hand almost crushing his. And then he turns around to face Diana before kind of like rubbing his hand and says, I should probably make my way back home. I have conversations to have.
Yeah. Yeah, you should probably do that. Well, I think we have a few things that we need to do over the next few days, but no, I'll do my best to drop by soon.
He smiles and he bends down and gives you a kiss on the cheek.
Aw.
Simon slams his grill shut. Clovis doesn't even flinch. She's like, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. He also waves one of his guards over. They kind of lean in and he says, fetch a couple more slices of cake. It was quite nice. Salute, and it's the younger guy who salutes and goes and gets a couple more slices of cake to take away. And Simon is letting people take more food and any of the leftover cake and all that kind of stuff as they go, so it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah.
But he grabs some extra cake and he says, well, I'll speak to you again very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And he bows and respectfully says his goodbye to all of you. He has sort of a noble curtsy sort of bow, one leg extended forward, that kind of bow. And then he turns and takes his leave. His two bodyguards salute, and then the younger one almost drops the cake, and then he kind of awkwardly scurries for it and catches it all. Salutes again,
God.
and then they walk off after him, off toward the guild to teleport home. And most of the other townsfolk have all cleared off now, and they're all heading home as well. As the Bramberholts are leaving, Bo says his goodbye to Diana, gives you a punch in the arm, that kind of thing.
I punch him back.
Excellent. That's as per the usual agreement.
Yep.
And he walks over to Faye and he says, so, if you're free sometime soon, maybe we should do something else that's not a whole barbecue full of 40 people. And not around coleslaw or anything like that.
Faye just kind of chuckles and she says, yeah, I'd like that.
He kind of smiles and you can see him all red.
Oh.
And he sort of...
Can we listen in? Are we close enough to?
I mean, he's not being super secretive about it. Yeah, you can all hear it.
Oh.
Diana's oh.
Not only Diana, but as soon as Diana does it, at the same time, from way at the back fence, you see B as well. With her hands cupped around her mouth for maximum amplification. And you see Bo clench his fist. And he says, with gritting his teeth with a big smile, he's like, I'll see you again soon. And then he turns around and walks away.
Before he walks away, Lazira is going to cast message and say, give her a smooch on the forehead.
Roll a persuasion check.
Oh my god.
I swear to God, nat 20. 9.
Oh no.
He freezes. You see him think about it for a second. Does message only send one way, or is it both?
It's
both. I believe.
It's once one way and once the other way.
Once one way and once the other way.
Yeah. So I send one message. He can send one message back.
Okay.
Think texting.
He sends back to you. Maybe after the real date.
Lesai just goes, oh!
And he continues walking off, and you see his head snap onto B, and he starts walking faster, and you see her kind of go, oh shit, and turn and start running, and then he starts running, and it's at that point that Elazira and Bruce Bramberholt, the parents, they kind of wave and say their goodbyes as Bo rounds that corner at a full sprint and goes after his sister.